What if power ended completely differently? For years, one of the biggest critiques from fans has been the decision to have Tariq St. Patrick kill his own father, Ghost. A lot of fans felt like it was the wrong ending for one of TV's most iconic characters. Not only was Ghost's death very controversial, but many people felt like the storyline leading up to it was rushed, poorly executed, and ultimately damaged what had been an incredible show. But what if Ghost didn't die? What if instead of Tariq pulling the trigger, Ghost's story ended a different way? What if instead of dying, Ghost went to prison by the end of the original Power? Because ironically, this was always one of the endings that creator Courtney Kemp had in mind. She said early on that Ghost's story was always going to either end with his death or him being locked away. In her exact words, she said, "I made a promise to the audience very early on that he is dead or in jail or some version of that. Getting shot, getting hurt, losing everything." Ghost is the kind of person who keeps going unless he loses everything. And that right there is the key. Ghost losing everything could have been a much more powerful story than Ghost simply dying. Because for a character like Ghost, death feels almost too easy. This is a man who spent his entire life trying to escape the streets. He built a legitimate empire, became a successful nightclub owner, and tried to separate himself from the criminal underworld. But at the same time, he was constantly pulled back in by the life he was trying to leave behind. Ghost's biggest fear was never dying. His biggest fear was losing. So imagine the ending of Power playing out differently. Instead of Tariq shooting Ghost, the federal government finally builds a case against him. Ghost gets arrested, his businesses are seized, his money is gone, and his reputation is destroyed. The man who spent years building an empire loses everything overnight. That would have been a true punishment for James St. Patrick. And this one change would completely fits Tariq's storyline, because one of the biggest problems that fans had with Tariq becoming a drug dealer was that his motivation never fully connected with the audience. A lot of people struggle to understand why Tariq would choose the exact lifestyle his father spent years trying to protect him from. But imagine if Tariq wasn't doing it, out of spite or out of revenge. Imagine if Tariq was doing it because his father's empire was now gone. He wanted to rebuild it and rebuild the St. Patrick name. Imagine Ghost going from the person that Tariq hated to the person that Tariq needed the most. Tariq's mission would no longer be about proving that he's better than Ghost. It would be about becoming the next Ghost. This creates a much stronger connection between Ghost and Tariq, and it also gives Omari Hardwick a natural reason to return. One of the biggest issues with bringing Ghost back in Power Book 2 Ghost was that his character was already dead. But if Ghost was alive and sitting in prison, the possibilities would have truly been endless. We could have seen Ghost mentoring Tariq from behind bars. We could have watched Ghost teach Tariq how to move, how to negotiate, how to survive, and how to build an empire properly. But more importantly, we could have finally seen them repair their relationship that was damaged in the original Power. Because as the audience knows, Ghost and Tariq are very similar. They're both intelligent, they're both ambitious, both of them always believe that they're the smartest one in the room, and they both struggle with the consequences of the choices that they make. A prison storyline could have really forced them to finally understand each other. That dynamic would have been incredible for Ghost and Tariq, and it also would have naturally set up Power Origins. Instead of fans immediately begging for a Ghost and Tommy prequel right after OG Power wrapped up, we really could have begun to explore their backstory through conversations with Ghost and Tariq in Book 2. Tariq could learn about young Ghost, Kanan, Breeze, Angela, and the decisions that shaped him into the man that he became. Now, of course, we wouldn't get the full story through these conversations. It would just be enough to, fuel Tariq's journey and also tease a bit of Power Origins that would have come later on. This would allow the audience to finally see Ghost's full journey through the eyes of his own son. Now, obviously, changing Ghost's ending would completely change the future of the Power universe, but sometimes the best endings aren't always about killing off a character. Sometimes they're about forcing a character to live with the consequences of everything that they've done. For James St. Patrick, prison might have been that perfect ending, because the worst thing that could happen to Ghost was not dying. It was waking up every day knowing that he lost everything he spent his entire life trying to build. And from there, watching his son try to rebuild the empire he lost could have created one of the best, most interesting father-son dynamics in television. So what do you guys think? Should Ghost still have died at the hands of his own son? Or would a prison ending like this have made for a better overall story? Let me know what you guys are thinking down below in the comments. And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. I got more on the way for y'all soon.